right now.
Good afternoon. As part of Maine Impact Week, I'm hosting the Career Center Internship Panel. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chris-Ann Blackie, the Director of the Career Center at the University of Maine. If you have questions, please put them in the YouTube chat, and Lisa Carter, one of our career counselors, will be monitoring that chat for us. Joining us today are Caitlin Ramsey. Caitlin is the Internship Coordinator for the University of Maine Cooperative Extension's Internship Program. Caitlin helped to establish the internship program in the fall of 2020 and just celebrated her 2-year work anniversary at the extension in February. Katerina Minus is a second-year student at the University of Maine and is an intern for the 4-H aquaponics program. Her major is marine science with a concentration in marine biology and aquaculture. David Pease is a Senior Vice President, Director of Talent, Diversity and Inclusion at Bangor Savings Bank. His human resources career spans 35 years in business, nonprofit, healthcare, academia, and corporate America. He has a master's degree in human resources management from Lesley University and a Bachelor of Science degree in political science and communication from the University of Southern Maine. David was recently selected as the Unsung Hero of the Year by Propel for creating a safe and inclusive work culture for people. He is a frequent speaker at state and national conferences. David serves as a mentor and coach to the interns at Bangor Savings Bank and to numerous professionals in all stages of their career. Also joining us will be Ilya Stojkovic. Ilya is a data engineer at Bangor Savings. He began working at Bangor Savings Bank as an operations intern after graduating with an MBA in business analytics from the University of Maine. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Management of Information Systems from UMaine, graduating with summa cum laude distinction. Ilya serves as a coach and mentor to the Eastern Maine Sports Academy, where he uses his past experiences to shape young athletes into healthy and mindful leaders of the future. Thank you for being our guests today. Today's format will focus around asking some questions to our panelists and having them share information with us, followed by questions that have been placed in the chat, which Lisa will monitor for us. So we're going to start out with a question to Caitlin and David. And we'll start with Caitlin and wondered if you could give us a brief description of your internship program.
Sure. So in 2020, Cooperative Extension developed this internship program that provides paid internships to UMaine students and to in a variety of subject areas. We are a statewide program, which has allowed us to offer both virtual and in-person internships all over the state. And because we are statewide, it has also allowed us to open it up now to students beyond just UMaine. And we're really excited to keep moving forward.
Thank you. David, can you share with us information about the internship program at Bangor Savings Bank? David, you're muted right now.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Chris-Ann. Again, one of the things that we think is really important is to make sure that an internship is both an educational employment and sort of a personal growth experience. So our internship, first of all, has a project. So each intern has a project with a select department. We have a wide variety of departments that we work with, and our internships are based in Bangor, Portland, and usually in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Again, we work with a variety of majors, and a lot of times I know that students are looking for a specific, like, I'm a marketing major, so I want, a marketing internship. And we really try to encourage people not to only focus on a major, but just come in and experience working at, at a great company like Bangor Savings Bank. You work with a sponsored manager. You do day-to-day work as well as this project. At the end of the summer, you get a chance to deliver your project results to the leadership team of the bank. There are a wide variety of educational activities and opportunities to shadow and meet a lot of the leaders of the bank as the internship. We're also very involved with the Maine Catalyst initiative in Maine, which brings interns across Maine together, because we think it's really important, not only for the interns to be able to experience Bangor Savings Bank, but to see other companies and the other amazing interns and employers in the state of Maine. And so we really encourage our interns to participate in some of those networking and education events. And finally, I think sort of the way we measure success is a lot of times students are a little nervous, like, am I going to be as successful at work as I am at school? And I hope that by the end of the summer, all of the students who've gone through our internship have great confidence that their voice is really important and that they will be able to be amazing professionals once they graduate.
Thank you very much. Now we'll turn to our interns. So Kat and Ilya, we'd like to learn about your experiences. So let's start with Kat. Can you tell us about your internship experience and what are your primary responsibilities as an intern?
So one of my responsibilities as this intern is to take care of an aquaponics tank that is located in the 4-H STEM office near University of Maine at Orono. So some of the tests that I do is running water quality tests such as pH, ammonia, nitrate, nitrite. I also do water changes and also like build equipment that is used for the systems. I also work with a turtle tank named Francis. He's adorable. And another side job that I do is making infographics that are suitable for children, that if they want to raise a fish, they have those infographics that they can use, and it helps them a lot.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kat. Ilya, could you tell us about your internship experience? Because that was a little while ago, but I was hoping that maybe you could share the impact of your internship on you, as well as your experiences that you had as an intern.
Most definitely. First, Kat, that sounds very complex. So hats off to you guys for doing all that. That's awesome. At BSB, the internship, as David has mentioned, is structured around the project. So as an intern, my primary focus was the project of the department I was in, and that rings true for all other interns as well. What was awesome about BSB was the creative freedom that we had in regards to like how we wanted to execute the projects. Also, the ability and availability of all the leaders, like from the CEO all the way down to every single person within the bank, was super open to answering questions and to interacting with us as interns. So it was really a transformative experience. And a big part of it as well is being mentored by David himself, where it's bigger than the workplace, right? We did things and we explored what we truly want as professionals. Some of the interns, had successes afterwards in different areas with different companies, but it's pretty awesome that, we all came together with Bangor Savings Bank, and we all found ways that we can elevate ourselves and put ourselves in the best position to be successful further down the line in our careers. So I'm definitely in a position I'm in today because I was an intern at Bangor Savings Bank. So shout out Davey for setting it up.
Thank you very much. Kat, can you tell us what you feel was your greatest learning experience as an intern, or your most influential experience?
Definitely. I never really worked with turtles before, so definitely learning how to take care of turtles was something really fun and really great to learn more about. I also learned more about how to use PowerPoint and where to like make all those infographics, and we actually used those infographics for the Maine Science Festival that they did around March, and it was really interesting and cool to see the children like looking through them, and I saw like their faces, and they looked like they enjoyed them, so it was really fun.
That's awesome, Kat. Thank you. Ilya, can you talk about maybe your most influential experience you had while as an intern?
Most definitely. I can recall this. This was early on in my internship. I had a meeting with one of my managers, and then we had a group meeting with David. I remember somebody asked a question, something along those lines of like, I didn't want to speak up or something. And I remember David clearly like stopping the meeting and saying, look, you guys are hired for a reason. You're not interns. You're not here to, push paper and go grab people's coffee. No, you have a voice. So the most influential experience, learning experience for me was just learning how to be myself and be comfortable being myself in a workplace, and also using my voice, speaking up, seeing when you notice something, bringing it up to attention to the people that should be brought up to attention, and that further might initiate other actions and whatnot. So just being comfortable being myself, and then again, as I mentioned, just using my voice. Those are a couple of things I would definitely point out as the biggest learnings from being an intern.
Thank you so much. Kat, could you tell us how this experience has helped shape or inform your future career path?
Yeah, this internship has helped me realize that in the future that I want to work more hands-on with all the animals, especially working with the turtle. Like I realized I really want to continue working more closely with animals that I'm interested in. And yeah, I've also discovered that I also really liked working with children as well.
That's terrific. Now, Ilya, you had a little bit of a different experience coming out of your internship because you were then hired at Bangor Savings. So could you share a little bit how that happened and maybe how your internship helped you to be successful in your current career path?
Most definitely. Well, I would say that, I'm standing on a lot of people's shoulders. So a lot of people have helped me get to where I am right now, being a full-time employee after, being an intern. So I would say, number one, it's always the people. I would not be able to do anything by myself. And I think that what else kind of came with that was just the investment in me. And what I kind of learned was what I learned to look for is probably that cultural fit, right? So what made sense for me as a human, I didn't want to come into work every day, hate everything, and hate my life. I wanted to come in and, perpetuate, myself and what my creativity and my work to other people. So that kind of, luckily, I don't even know how that happened, but I started as an intern for Bangor Savings Bank. It was just a perfect cultural fit. So again, as I mentioned, talking to different people and figuring out what open positions are in the company and where I could fit in. And that's kind of how it came to be. And obviously, as I mentioned, I cannot stress this enough, but support from others, and you have to reach out, you have to ask for help, you have to be adamant and persistent, and nothing's going to be handed to you. That's just how it is. So if you like something and want to stick around and you want to do something specific, there's probably somebody that can guide you and help you get there. And that's how I'm still here.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Caitlin, how and why did you decide to develop an internship program at Cooperative Extension? And could you talk about how you collaborated with the Career Center and especially with Lisa Carter to develop your program?
Sure. So our organization's internship program was modeled after other extension internship programs throughout the country. Our leadership felt that the internship program would give our staff an opportunity to mentor undergraduates and could also provide new and creative ways to approach our educational outreach and programming. And finally, we saw that the internship program could be used as a recruitment pipeline for new staff as well. To create the program, we created a group of faculty and staff made up of Cooperative Extension to come together. And as a team, we developed resources to support our internship mentors and student interns. We wanted to provide UMaine students with valuable work and networking and researching experience. And then internships are considered kind of a significant and valuable learning experience for both our staff and our students who participate. So all of that went into the mindset of why we created it. And then we collaborated with the Career Center pretty early on because we wanted to discuss advice and feedback on how to put it on and get feedback on our program's goals and creation process. And then later on, we use CareerLink to advertise for our internships. And we have Career Center staff help us do workshops for interns as well. And then we just recently attended your recent career fair.
Wonderful. Thank you, Caitlin. Can you talk about maybe what you feel is the greatest benefit of having an internship program with Cooperative Extension?
Sure. So big thing is that extension faculty and staff get the chance to mentor UMaine students. But more than that too, it helps us recruit students to potentially join us for working, especially students that might not consider Cooperative Extension as a career path. And then it also gets us a chance to work with the student population, which we don't always get a chance to do. So that's always fun. And we love working with students who have different majors than just science or agriculture or food, and getting to show them that cooperative extension does that kind of work as well, not just stuff most people associate with us.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Definitely these internship programs are a wonderful pipeline into all kinds of future activities within an organization. So, and any employers who may be out there listening, the University of Maine Career Center is more than happy to help assist you with developing an internship program or expanding your current internship program. David, you gave us a little bit of information in the beginning about your internship program at Bangor Savings, but I've noticed in the past few years that you've actually done some expansion and you have integrated opportunities for micro credentials. Can you talk about what that is?
Yeah, again, we want to do everything in our power to make this a valuable experience for folks. And one of the ways that we work, especially very closely with the University of Maine, is working with your micro credentials and your digital badging. So again, why not incorporate that, into our programming for for interns. So for us, obviously the last couple of years have been pretty challenging with COVID and the pandemic. And so we believe that one of the most important things for our interns, as well as future employees, is the importance of being agile and being able to kind of move with a flow. And the other thing is to be resilient, right? Sometimes we see, especially younger folks, they can quickly give up when they have conflict. And so we believe folks like Ilya might have been told, like, no, you can't do that. And he continues to kind of push through it. And so we just felt that the importance of resilience and agility was so important over the last 2 years. So we did work with the University of Maine. We did ask our interns and our management trainee programs, which are recent college grads, to go through that credentialing, because we thought it was just really important for them to be aware of that. And so we definitely thought that it enhanced the experience for them.
Thank you. And David, what do you think is the overall impact of this program on your organization?
Yeah, I mean, again, you've heard sort of it was transformational for Ilya, and I hope it's transformational for the students to really prepare them for work. One of our things is we just want to really ensure that the Maine workforce is vibrant and that all of the students, again, Ilya being an international student, that we were able to keep him in the state of Maine, right? To me, was a huge impact, not only to Bangor Savings Bank, but the whole Maine economy and the whole Maine workforce. But as Ilya also mentioned, is that the voice of young voice is really important to organizations. Diverse voice is very important to organizations. So working with international students, working with people who are in their 20s really helps an organization like Bangor Savings Bank that's been around for 170 years. And some of the leadership of the bank has been around not for that long, but for a long time. So it's really important to hear what's important to today's workers, future leaders, and really making sure. So I would say, for as transformational as it's been for the students, I would say it has been eye-opening and transformational for our managers. Our managers really learn a tremendous amount from our interns. I think just seeing what we need to continue to do to be relevant, to be a great employer of choice, is coming from the feedback that we're receiving from our interns. So I definitely think it's this wonderful way of empowering not only the current state of students and our bank, but clearly it's about creating synergy around our future and how do we continue to be a great employer.
Thank you. And David, while we have you front and center here, can you share your best advice for an employer who is interested in establishing an internship program?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really great question. And I do speak to a lot of employers and a lot of students about what to be looking for. So I think the important part is for employers to remember this benefits both the employer and the student. A lot of times, even with some of our managers, I have to remind them, yes, these interns are going to help you get work done, but you have an obligation for them to become confident in their professional voice. And so you need to make sure that you enter this really wanting to help grow and develop folks. I've found, current college students amazing. They're brilliant, right? They have amazing, analytical skills. They're so verbal. They have great collaboration and problem-solving skills. But let's face it, a lot of them have never really worked in a professional work environment. So we have an obligation not to be judgmental, not to sort of assume that everyone understands how to work within that kind of work environment that we're offering. So part of our role is to be a mentor and coach, to be non-judgmental, to understand that if we just are honest and open and provide a lot of positive feedback and some constructive feedback, in the end, the intern's going to be amazing. They're going to do great work for you, but you always have to remember it's not just about what you need done. It's also about what they leave you with, because if they leave in a positive way, they may come back and work for you full time, or at least stay in the state of Maine to work for another employer.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Caitlin, same for you, because recently having established an internship program, what is your best advice for an employer who's looking to maybe start anew? So they may not have an internship program in place right now. What is your best advice for helping them to get started?
Sure. Probably the biggest thing is just to do your research. Like, find another business that already has an established internship program that's similar to what you do now, and find out what they do and what worked and what didn't work. Ask for their advice, and keep asking, like keep finding advice and figuring out what worked and what didn't work, and figuring out why you want an internship. I think those are the two big things. And then from there, you can work on recruiting students to come to your program.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So now I have a question really that anybody can answer. So feel free to just chime in. What do you see as the challenges or barriers to students who are interested in pursuing an internship?
Anybody can answer it?
Yes, anyone can. Go ahead, Ilya.
Yeah, so we have David and I spoke about this a lot in the past, but oh my God, it's slipping my mind. Imposter syndrome, imposter effect, thinking that you're not good enough when you actually are. And especially, I mean, that was definitely true for me coming in. I felt like I had to apologize for everything I do. I had to minimize myself, package my ideas differently because they're a little different. But the truth is, I mean, you never know. Just if you don't try it out, if you're not vulnerable, you're never gonna learn. You're never gonna progress. You're never gonna get better at whatever you're doing. So to me, that was the biggest learning, and that was probably something that was the biggest obstacle for me to kind of go over to be able to do what I'm doing now. So I would just that would be a piece of advice for anybody who likes to pursue an internship. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't plan for it. Just go ahead, dive in, and see what happens. The worst thing that can happen is you're going to learn.
And that wouldn't be too bad now, would it? That's awesome. Thank you. How about anybody else have any ideas, comments about challenges or barriers students may face in pursuing an internship?
I can go, Chrisanne. First of all, you have to start early. We just made offers last week to our management trainees. I'm making offers this week to our interns, and I'm still getting resumes from going, hey, I'm really interested in your internship. I'm like, it's too late. So understand the timing, right? Understanding the timing of internships. I would say, start in the fall for the following summer, right? Some companies start recruiting, early in the fall. We tend to have ours posted in January and February, but you have to do it early. I would also say you have to visit career services. So this is a plug for you, Chrisanne, is a lot of students are trying to do this on their own. We get a resume and sometimes it does not show their best side. So something as simple as knowing contacts at local employers, knowing the deadlines for their internships, having a professional resume, just maybe having practice doing an interview with career services. Those students are generally much more prepared than students who are doing it by themselves. So I would say use your career services. And finally, I would say start early in your career. So a lot of our interns are rising juniors and seniors or grad students. So I would say start as a freshman to really get yourself ready. And like in Bangor Savings Bank, we have these summer opportunities called summer tellers. So you can come in, we have 40 opportunities throughout the state of Maine to be a summer intern. They're perfect for freshmen and sophomore students. And guess what? When people have had exposure to banking, they actually like it, and then they come back to us as an intern or as a management trainee candidate. They generally are becoming top candidates simply because they know what they're entering. And as Ilya said, they already know our culture, so they're coming back because they like our culture and they want to continue it. So I would just say, don't just be looking for internships. There's other ways to enter organizations, and there may be ways to enter that before you're even sort of ready as a junior senior for an internship. There's ways to start working with organizations earlier, even to shadow or to do other things, just go in and meet some of their people. So I would say start early.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate that, David, because we agree in the Career Center that the earlier you can get started, the better. Now, Kat, you got started quite early for your internship, did you not?
Little bit. I was very fortunate to be to have this internship. It was kind of a funny story. I actually applied for another job, but I didn't get it, but it led me to this internship, and that really helped a lot.
That's great. Thank you. Caitlin, what are your thoughts on any challenges or barriers that students might face in pursuing an internship?
So mine kind of piggybacks off of what David was saying. A lot of feedback that I'm getting is that students are really struggling to schedule internships with their course load. So summer internships are very, very popular because they're a lot easier to schedule. So definitely, if you're an organization thinking about internships, maybe, especially if you're starting out, to just think about summer. And it also gives you that time to set everything up, because like David said, there's a lot more work involved to it than you really realize until you get into it. And you'll get people the job has already been filled and you're still getting applications and things like that. So just that's the big thing. And then a lot of lack of awareness of what internships are available within the state sometimes is another drawback to whether or not they can pursue an internship.
Great. Thank you very much. Another question for anybody on the panel to respond to is, what can we as the state of Maine do to make these opportunities, so internship opportunities, accessible to a wider population of students? Maybe have thoughts on that one. So what can we as a state do to really have internships available for any student who would like to do one?
I think we just need to continue to work collaboratively, right? There's a lot of initiatives going on right now in the state, but we really need to make sure that every college in the state of Maine, every employer who wants to sponsor students in the state of Maine, and just the students who are going to school or want to do internships in the state of Maine are all communicating. First of all, to understand the timing. Another big part of what we see is we get hundreds and hundreds of candidates. That's something I think that's really important for students to understand. Ours is a very competitive process. So we get hundreds of candidates for 8 opportunities. So every year I have several hundred students who want internships and I only have 8 opportunities. And I've reached out to other employers. I've reached out to industry organizations going, I have hundreds of students who want internships. Who wants these amazing students, right? So I think we need to remember that we have to help each other, identify, like, these are students, at UMaine who want to do internship, who has opportunities, right? We can't just only be focusing on like I can't just focus on Bangor Savings Bank. I want to make sure every student who wants an internship gets one. I want to make sure that every employer who wants an intern gets one. And I think the only way we do that is continuing to talk to one another, trust each other, and do this in a more collaborative way, and not just focusing on UMaine or Bangor Savings Bank or Cooperative Extension. We need to be looking at, we're all here wanting the same thing. So let's make sure everybody gets what they want, because I think that's possible.
Great, thank you, David.
If I could just tack onto that, if that's okay. From a recent graduate perspective, couple of things I feel like a lot of people, my peers and current college students care about, stuff that I know we do internally at the bank, but I'm not sure really what the effort is outside. Diversity, equity, inclusion efforts, just to ensure that every single person feels comfortable being themselves in the environment that they're in. And then also, stuff like hybrid work, remote work, things like that. Those are just expectations at this point. It's not even, good to have. It's kind of a must to have. So I feel like if all employers are on board with, kind of making that more of a, not like a statewide thing versus just, a few companies, that might make things a bit easier for, the entire state. So just a couple of things from a student perspective.
Thank you very much. And now, Caitlin, Cooperative Extension is all over the state of Maine. So are there different challenges or things we need to do differently in different parts of the state?
So I also wanted to just add on to something David had pointed out. It was mentioned a little earlier, but I think a big problem we have as organizations is we have students who think they need to have an internship directly in the major that they have. Like, oh, I'm an art student, I have to have an art internship. But they don't realize that, yes, but you might want to run a business for your art. So maybe going to Bangor Savings Bank makes sense because you're going to understand that concept. And I think we as employers need to make that more knowledgeable to students, that they can not necessarily do the one that they think they have to do, and that they're having a hard time finding that internship, because there are internships that work. And then we as organizations can collaborate and be like, hey, we have these extra interns that we can't fill, but they might work for your organization. I think that's a piece. And I think when you work all over the state, like we do, our big problem is that the location seems to be an issue, because students will not realize that it's virtual and that they can do it from wherever. They think, oh, I have to go to this very obscure place and I can't drive 2 hours every day to do this internship. Or they don't realize that because it's all over the state, they could theoretically work in a different location than the location that maybe they thought they had to work in. So that's something I think we as organizations that have multiple locations need to make that more clear, is, oh, this is a virtual opportunity. You can do it anywhere. Or, there's all these offices you could work out of. You don't necessarily have to work out of Orono or, Falmouth or whatever.
That's awesome. Thank you, because that's really insightful. I agree that students don't always understand the process and don't always understand the way work is done. So that's wonderful. Thank you all for that. Lisa, do we have some questions that may have come in through the chat?
We do. And I think it's been touched on a little bit, but one thing that I think if folks have some ideas about that might be helpful in terms of search strategies. So, David, I know you mentioned thinking about starting early, visiting your career services office. Any other tips that you can give to students who are beginning this process of searching for an internship, and maybe how to be successful finding some of these opportunities?
Yeah, I think that's a fabulous question, Lisa. Thank you. One of the things is just making sure that you're staying present. So again, one of the people we just hired for our management trainee program was not from UMaine, was another college in Maine. But every time I went on campus, he came and visited it. He came and saw me. So every time I was on campus, every couple of months, I got an email from him going, I'm still really interested in the program. I'm still really interested in Bangor Savings Bank. And I can't tell you how important that kind of constant, without being annoying, without being, over the top, but just saying, I'm really interested in this opportunity. I'm really interested in Bangor Savings culture. That was a major reason as to why he became one of our top students. I think the other thing to remember is that most students, sometimes they don't think they have a huge professional network, but they do. And they, their parents and neighbors and professors and people at, on campus, all of those people know people that work. And I can just let you know that anyone, any employee at Bangor Savings Bank or any one of our partners who refers a student to us gets an automatic pre-screen. Ilya, again, the way I met Ilya was he was talking with one of our employees who happens to be an adjunct professor at UMaine. They talked about, our program. Ron referred Ilya to me. Ilya and I met well before the beginning of our process. We chatted, we talked, and then of course he applied, and of course he was pre-screened, and because he's amazing, he was hired. But the important thing is just, again, being present. Just applying for an internship is okay, but if you can have somebody refer to you, if you can just make sure that like I'm a representative from Bangor Savings Bank who's involved with the internship program, every time I'm on campus, come and see me and say hi. And that can make a difference as to how you can get in the top tier of candidates and not just one of 100 candidates.
That's terrific. Thank you on that. Lisa, do we have other questions?
We do. I think that internships they're changing. The pandemic has really influenced a lot of organizations and employers to possibly rethink how their internship is presented. And I know Ilya mentioned earlier thinking about possible challenges and how remote work being so important nowadays. And just before the question, I just wanted to say how important that might be also for equity for students who might not have transportation or some ability to pay an apartment fee or something along those lines. So I think that was a really important point. So I appreciate that. But to go on, like, where do you see your internship program changing, building? What do you see in the next 5 years for Bangor Savings Bank and for Cooperative Extension? So if you could just possibly touch on ways you see your internship program growing or changing, that would be appreciated.
I can go first. So our program is just starting. So obviously we would love for it to grow and to have more interns. Right now we're doing a lot of where we kind of have gaps in our staff and like the needs we have within our organization to fill those gaps. Those are what the internships are kind of filling. But we would love to have it be expanded beyond that and maybe have reoccurring projects. So we don't just have little short 15-week projects that they're tackling. It can be things that can be much more long-term and sustainable. And definitely as technology evolves and changes, having younger individuals bring that technology to us and making us utilize it for both educational purposes and also as resources to be aware of that, but also vice versa, like making those educational opportunities that we become aware of more aware to our interns as well.
I think, again, great feedback, Caitlin. one of the things is you have to listen to your current interns, right? The only way you get better is by offering them an experience and then saying, what did you like about the experience and what do you need different? You know, I think Lisa brought it up. We're much more focused now on housing and, you know, hybrid internships than we were before. Like during pandemic, the first year when they had to be virtual, we felt we were letting people down. This year, we actually thought people were going to be really excited to come on one of our campuses to do their internship, and we found a lot of students who wanted virtual. So that was something, you know, that we learned. Again, I think the part I just want to remind students, I want to remind employers, is that not all internships are created equal. And I'm still hearing a lot of stories from students who are having bad internship experiences. So interns need to continue to do a better job and not just sign up for an internship, but really make sure, just like we're assessing them for their readiness to be an intern, they need to be assessing, I think, employers a little stronger in terms of, is this experience I'm going to have with this organization what I want? Because you really don't want to spend 12 weeks, you know, of your summer having something where you're not being valued and your voice is not being shared, or you don't really have an end product at the end. And then the only other thing I just want to remind, I mean, I think this is already incorporated into our internship, but I think it will continue to change, is for students to understand we're not just looking at a major or GPA. We are looking for really well-rounded folks. We want people who are involved in campus. We want people who are involved in community. We want people who have amazing attributes. And, you know, I sort of mentioned with our digital badging, things like agility and resilience, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration are all really important attributes. As we move forward, as Ilya said, one of the things we're going to be looking at for our interns is to be more culturally aware. As our workforce become more diverse, it's really important that the people we're bringing in as interns represent a more diverse community, but also can work with diverse coworkers and not find it strange to work with somebody where English is not their first language, or someone who identifies as trans or non-binary. It's really important that students are coming in much more aware of what's happening globally and sort of from that DEI perspective. So I think that will be something that will be really important for future candidates, to make sure they're demonstrating that they understand and can work with diverse cultures and communities.
Thank you for that information. David, I'm intrigued when you say that you have talked to some folks who maybe didn't have a great internship experience. Do you have some suggestions of questions that a student could ask in order to assess the quality of someone's internship program?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Ilya, again, one of the first things that we talked about was just who is he as a person, what are his values, and us sharing the cultural values of the organization. So it really does make sense, right? If you, like in our organization, we are really this kind and gentle. You wouldn't think a bank would be kind and gentle, but of course, our relationships with our customers are based upon trust, right? We have their cash, we have private information about them. So trust and integrity and kindness and wanting to help are so crucial for every one of our employees. So first of all, it's really important to know that's what we value in our employees. So if you are a kind and person and that's a value you hold strong, if integrity and honesty are really important to you, then that would make sense, right? If you really are not focused on kindness or customers, then maybe we are not the right culture. Second of all is to really help understand, why do you have an internship program, right? Like what do you gain from the internship experience, and what do we gain as interns from your organization? And so I would be, instead of just saying we're going to give you work, we're going to give you pay, which are basic to me, requirements for an internship. I think you want to be listening to what you're hearing Ilya and I talk about, which is about having a voice, being listened to, being respected, and having access to senior leaders of the organization, right? One of the most important things I think early in career is having visibility. It's really easy to go into an organization, do amazing work, sit in a corner, and nobody knows you're doing amazing work, right? What we're able to do for our interns is we are putting them front and center. They are known by our senior leaders. That not only helps them with their intern experience, but as Ilya has seen, you can convert that into full-time employment, or you can just use us as a reference. I have done tons of references for our interns to go to grad school, to to get their first professional job. So I think just making certain that you know what you're going to get. Like, that's one of the things I say up front. I'm going to mentor you, and if you do a good job, I'm going to give you a great reference at the end. And if you're not hearing that from an employer, you might want to find an employer who's willing to do that for you.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful. So we're getting close to the end of our time. Does anybody have any final comments that they'd like to make, or information that they'd like to share that maybe we haven't covered? No. Okay.
I would just say one thing, Chris-Anne. I mean, I think a lot of times we put so much focus on internships, but as Caitlin said, sometimes that can be really challenging, right? And especially because there's so much competition for internships in the summer, it's okay to potentially create something similar to an internship, but it might not be exactly an internship. So some of the other things that we do is we can work with small groups of students in a class, or just one student who might want to just work on a business solution, right? So this might be just something they do on the side. We give them a business challenge, they do some research, and then they come back and present it. It could be very short term. They don't need to come necessarily on site. They probably aren't going to get paid for that, but it's a really great way of saying, hey, I worked with Bangor Savings Bank to help them solve this business solution. Here are the recommendations I made. So I think it's a similar way of being able to tell future employers that you've had that kind of experience. I think shadowing experiences are really good. I think just trying to leverage part-time jobs with different companies that you're looking for. So again, for as much as I would recommend doing like 2 internships, there are other ways of getting a similar experience that don't necessarily have to have the label of internship.
Thank you very much. We often talk with our students about having career-related experiences, and all experiences are beneficial to our students. Well, this has just been a fantastic opportunity to hear about all of your programming and the impact that it really does have on our economy and businesses in Maine, and creating these pipeline programs and all this benefit to employers, and certainly the great benefits that our students have experienced by having internships. So we do want to encourage students to participate in any internship programs or gaining career-related experiences. And we want to encourage employers to be developing these internship programs, or possibly expanding these internship programs. And Lisa has a slide to share with us about ways to get in touch with the Career Center. Great. So this is from the University of Maine Career Center. Lisa Carter is our primary contact to help you develop an internship program, or possibly expand your internship program. And you can see her email is lisa.m.carter@maine.edu. So please reach out to Lisa, and we are more than happy to help. The other thing we have in the works is we are updating our internship guide. And so that will be coming out in the summer. So that'll be a 3rd edition. So watch for that. We will have that on our website, and we also will have hard copies available to anybody who would like one. So that's great. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being behind the scenes and making sure all goes well. And thank you very much to all of our panelists. We really appreciate your time, and have a wonderful afternoon. And thank you so much.